Michael, welcome back to Home is Where the Dark Is. It's been about probably over a year now since our first episode, so a lot has happened, a lot has transpired. So
only a year? I think
only
it might be two, but maybe.
Well, it's 2025.
But thanks for having me back.
Two. Maybe you too. Yeah. But thanks for coming by, and it's good to see you again. So tell us what's going on. I know you have a great new album out with Beauty and Chaos. You have a great video. So what's been going on?
Yeah, we put out an 8-song album last year, mid-year I think it was, Dancing with Angels, that kind of had some people that had done previous songs with us, and then we also branched out and kind of a mix of old and new people, so just expanding our family, and is what's become kind of common for us is that we follow up the album. I turn over the tracks to people like yourself, which I think this was your second one on this, and just go have at it, So we put out about a month ago. It was called Signs in the Heaven, Reality Upside Down, a double CD of just. I don't like the word remix because re-envisions is a topic that I think we use. That it's just where each artist, producer, DJ just kind of gets to do is take the tracks and kind of disassemble and reassemble them. And that kind of exploded into a double CD, almost 78 minutes of music.
Hell yeah.
But it's fun. It's like, it's almost like Christmas Day to me, like when somebody will send back the remix, like, hey, it's done, I'm sending you a WeTransfer now, and bing, and it's like, wow, that's kind of cool. They really took that and changed some chords up. I mean, there are people that will just take the vocal track and the tempo and rebuild a song around it.
Yeah.
And it also gives Michael and I a little bit of a reset while that's all happening, though it is a lot of work compiling it. It's being like almost a secretary, like trying to pull all the parts together and the credits and everything. But it did give me some time to start writing some ideas again, but also we kind of did a couple of acoustic versions of songs that give each track a real, those songs a kind of a really different twist. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the, you have so many tracks on the remix album, and, I like what you said too earlier about how it's more of a reimagining or like a re-envisioning, because it's not like, technically if you're just to like remix a song, it's like, it's the same instruments and tracks and arrangement. You're just rebalancing, re-EQing, right? But when a lot of people use the term remix, but it's actually like you're kind of reproducing the song in a way, because you're chopping it up, you're adding parts, you're taking parts away, you're like splicing vocals up. So I like that you said like a re-envisioning.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started doing, being in a band and everything, and those 12-inch records were really extended versions of songs, and usually a producer or somebody would be a remix artist would change the beat and make it more dance floor friendly, and we certainly have a couple of those on that, but they're really built from a different, other than just taking the song and going, oh, that's at 135, let me drop in damaged drums here that's got this loop in it, and here you go. It's like I think anybody, especially with an ear like you have, I mean, you could put that on and I think you would hear like seriously the work that each person put into making it something different.
Right.
And then we tried on both CDs to do the original running order of Dancing with Angels, and then after that it was just some extra songs that we just, because a couple of them were, I think, easier, like Holy Ground. I think like somebody listens to that, like, oh, this will be really easy to remix, whereas something like Hollow or something like that takes a little bit more thinking, like, how am I going to put a twist on a song like this?
Right.
But it worked out great. I think I was fortunate enough to have a good friend, Marin, who painted the covers for Dancing with Angels. She agreed to paint again, because I think this record is certainly a sonic counterpart to that. They kind of go hand in hand, and So the art, I think everything kind of fits with that. And I think once the title kind of stuck in my brain, that gave me the idea of doing those 2 cover songs, which I think just gave it something extra at the end of the album. And I think, at least to me, it ties back into the title.
You put out a amazing double music video for the songs, and I wasn't expecting that when I checked it out, and I was like, oh shit, it's 2 songs in one. That was amazing. So tell us a little bit about like the process and like the idea behind that video.
Yeah, I think it kind of turned into almost what in my head was a conceptual like mini movie. And I was certainly told by my press person, like, you sure you want to do both of these together? And it's like, yeah, I don't think they stand alone. I think it's just doing 2 covers if we didn't do it as this concept. And I've gotten some emails. I think the point was maybe missed on some people. I've got, this is, an anti-Trump and Musk. And it's like, it's fucking nothing to do. It's like, I even wrote in this thing going, this is not a political statement. Don't look to me for politics. Do your own, have your own thing. This was just, honestly, it was, my wife and I were driving back. I saw this vet on the side of a road. Here I am in our big RV, and this guy that was probably old enough to have been a Vietnam, maybe the first Gulf War vet. And it just hit me, like, fuck, we just send people off to war, most of the time they don't even know why. Sadly, sometimes I don't think we're always the white hats, and that's what happens. And that's where it just came with that war's big business. And I've always been a Lords of the New Church fan, and I think Open Your Eyes, loved the song when it first came out, and it made me go back and listen to it and just look at the words. And I think the song was written in 85, 86, which probably still like Cold War shit, and, hearing nuclear holocaust, blah, blah, blah. And then fast forward 40-something years later, I think the past couple of years, you've heard the word nuclear Armageddon on the news more than, it's like, really? We're still talking about this as a species. Instead of learning from history, we're destined to repeat it. And I just looked at those lines, and I just thought open your eyes, see the lies right in front of you just rang. And it's just
totally.
Like, I don't think people look at news anymore and go, it's so biased.
Oh my God.
You want so one side, you can go to CNN. You want the other side, you can go to Fox. It's like picking a radio station. Like, I want metal, I'm going to go to KNAC. And I think, and then I know the T-Rex track isn't really Children of the Revolution. Looking at it and having a little bit of a conversation with Roland when we did the first video with him years ago, I think that was more of a shot at John Lennon. Okay. Like, I have a Rolls Royce. It's good for my voice. I don't think it was as deep, but I just felt that you can't fool the children of the revolution. The idea of being fooled, and the lyrics of Open Your Eyes.
Yeah.
I went, okay, I'm going to dip my toe in this. It's not being political. It's just, to me, it was a fuck you to the industrial complex that just keeps us in wars.
Absolutely.
Senseless, endless, just keep going. Somebody's getting rich. People are dying. Some people are dying. Some people are getting rich. And it was just, it's something I had to get out of my system to say it. And now I can step back and go, all right, I said it. You guys can take it for how you, what it means to you, but to look back at a song and go, wow, it's still, you can read the lyrics that Steve Baders wrote and go, could have been written yesterday.
Exactly.
It's still like that. Guess you can go back and listen to Eve of Destruction and go, yeah, we're on the eve of destruction. It's like, maybe we should learn. Just because you can doesn't mean you should,
Yeah, absolutely. And I love songs like that they're always relevant, like timeless, you know what I mean? How the lyrics resonate at pretty much any point, now what you said before about, how people are so quick to politicize things now. Like when you maybe from a lyric or from a song title, but it's like, I think for most of us creatives, unless you're like a politically driven band, which there aren't that many, but it's like, we're just putting our thoughts out there, and it's unfortunate how quick, like what you said before, how quick people are to make things political when it isn't.
I would like to think that people have more in common than differences, and I think there is a benefit to keep people at each other. There always has to be the other team, the other side, and usually the truth lies somewhere in between. And I just think as media, I mean, it's like chase rabbit holes, but look who owns media. You go down that, and it's like everything seems to have a freaking agenda. And it used to be, back when I was a kid, you watched Walter Cronkite, and he came on, and you believed the words that came out of the guy's mouth. I don't think anybody turns on any news and goes, this person is an actor or an actress or whatever you can politically say now, and is reading a script, pushing forward an agenda of whoever owns this station. That's a little screwed up, but it is. Hopefully people don't get fooled, and that was what the tie-in to do Children of the Revolution. Besides, it's a great heavy riff, and Al sang the shit out of it.
Yeah, and that, like I said before, like the video came out really good, and I really like the set you guys created with Vicente, and how you put both the songs in one. I think it was a really
we
smart
sat
move.
And I forget the Nine Inch Nails. I don't know if it was Wish or Gave Up. I forget which Nails song was either off of Broken or Downward Spiral. And I think I even brought up Scorpions' Rock You Like a Hurricane. I'm like, look, we want to do this fence, and we want to have we just want to have it like some aggression that way. So, and it was fun to shoot. I got to sing a song, and Roseanne got to get on drums. And I mean, you can't take yourself too seriously, even though there was a message that I was trying to get impart with the upside down flag, which, it's not anti-American, it's country in distress. I think there's definitely some truth in that, but it was fun, and I just thought it tied in, and it ended an album on a note of just think, think for yourself is probably the best part of that. And
we need that now more than ever. I really think.
In today's AI world, it's you don't even know what the hell's real anymore. You can chop up my voice and make me say whatever, and sadly, half the people, did he really say that? You take shit out of context. It's a dangerous. Watch Terminator.
Yeah, well, and I think it's also perfect because in just what the name of your band, Beauty and Chaos, and it's like that's so relatable too at pretty much any point, because we're amidst all the chaos in the world and in our lives and the things we have to navigate on a day-to-day basis. Like I do feel like there can be beauty in that, and that makes perfect sense. And it's was that kind of what went into your thought in the name? Or
that was, I think, came up with that name in 2017, and which is why I have Tish and I's daughters on the cover. It was like, I think it was a pretty, it seems like the last 10 years has been pretty freaking chaotic, and it just seemed like finding some beauty. If you want to see it, if you're just not so consumed by just the constant stimulation of being just hit with, consumerism, political, religion, just, everything felt like it was just disaster. Armageddon's around the corner, the big earthquake. It's like, fuck, just went, look at my two beautiful daughters. That's why once the name came to mind, it was like putting them, just getting ready, like they're going to go out in this dilapidated building. So I think if you look for beauty, it's there even among the chaos. And I think that's stuck. I think that's helped to me the longevity of doing this. And then it kind of transpired into the music, where I always felt that Roseanne and I will take a song that's just cool pop chord structure, or really ambient shimmery guitars, but then add these bursts of screwed up interference and static and really broken sounding guitars or drums, and vice versa, taking a song that's really heavy and distorted bass and everything, but then throwing a bridge or something that just goes into this cool minor, progression that just wanted to be something you feel, I mean, to me, great records or something that you feel. And
Yes.
It seems like, as it since then, I don't think anything's gotten, I think it's actually gotten worse as far as the way people view music and attention span.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm sitting here going, as I'm saying this, something's going, hey, dipshit, and you put out a double record, and you put out Dancing with Angels was 70. I crammed as much as we could on that record because we put these little instrumental pieces in between it called halos. So it took this 50-minute CD and made it just at 79, very to the limit that they would allow on a CD. And in my head going, who's going to listen to that, all the way through? I have this romantic notion that you put it on and you have this uninterrupted listen of music. And I don't think people do that anymore. I think music's become background. It's people listen to it, oh, I'm working out or I'm driving, but then I'm screaming at this person that's got road rage next to me, or I'm a woman, I'm putting makeup on, or I'm on my phone, and it's not in forefront anymore. I used to remember as a kid putting on an album, and I would often refer to Disintegration just because I always thought that record felt cold to me. It had this feeling, and I don't ever remember putting that vinyl on it, not at least listening to one side, 22 minutes or 21, whatever one side of that album was, going, I'm going to invest that in it. And I think that's kind of sad. I don't know if that's ever going to go back. There's more music, more. That's why you don't see, it's like, there's not even, if you look, whatever the freaking charts are, they're artists. They're not bands anymore. I think it's easier to just have a guy or a girl and go and put people around them. It's not a band anymore.
Yeah, well, a lot of it is like kind of cookie cutter, like like all these. And I'm not saying the music is bad. Like I think a lot of the pop is good. Like Sabrina Carpenter, for example, like super huge right now. But yeah, it's like Sabrina, Billie Eilish, like they're solo artists, but yeah, I agree with you with everything you said there. What I noticed about you with your musical projects is like, like what you just said. Yeah, it's a short attention span these days, but you still do what you want to do. Like you satisfy your own musical desires first in your project, and I think that's really important because I think a lot of people, they're curating or they're changing what they would do in their heart with their music to cater to what they think people in this day and age would like, which I think is a big mistake. And I really love that. Like you just put out a double record, like 80 minutes, like you're doing what you love first for yourself. And then if people like it, great. But I like that. And I see that in you, like it's not, I wouldn't say it's not that it's old school. Like you're still doing new approach to the music and with the videos, and you're still promoting it, and you're still on social media, but you're doing it in the way that satisfies you first. And I think that's the most important thing for music artists. For absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's why. I mean, you mentioned like when Billie Eilish first came out, I heard it through my daughters. And I went, okay, she's interesting. That's kind of quirky, Almost reminded me of when I first heard the Cars. Like
the Cars, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that was kind of quirky, a throwback to kind of new wavy but different. And sadly, I don't think you're going to hear about Billie Eilish in 5 years. I don't think you hear about I don't think there's a lot of longevity anymore. That's why still Depeche Mode and The Cure will sell out a place, because they do just make music for themselves. And I think that's why I can still go back to our record that we put out in 2018 and still listen to it and go, this doesn't sound aged to me. Maybe it was aged when it came out. We made a record that we wanted to make. And I always go, if at the end of the day, if Michael and I are happy, and then it filters down to me, I guess, because I'm dubbed as the curator, if I'm happy, then it's a success. And I've always been able, I think I probably told you this last time I was here, like I've made records with Human Drama, and I've made records with Geno's Jezebel, and that's like being part of a band. And always, I didn't feel like I listened to those records just like I would if I just put on a Cure record or a T-Rex record or something where you hear it as a song. I would listen to one of those records that I was on and kind of go, oh, I wish the guitar, I wish I would have did this. I remember, the snare, it's like all that being in it shit that to me at least stopped me from hearing it as a casual listener. And something about doing Beauty and Chaos, I'm a fan of the singer that has joined us to take this piece of music and make it a song. I'm able to listen to it differently. Some of these songs I don't even know how to play. And I mean that because we created in there. I've got a little notebook and it's like, oh, here's a tuning and we do this. And we just kind of move on. And I think that in an odd way allows me to just kind of hear it differently. And that's a true blessing. That's where, I've had one of my daughters, Sophia, would go, Dad, you're listening to your own stuff. And in my head, I'm going, I guess that would be weird. But it's not, because I don't feel like I'm listening to my own stuff. I feel like I'm listening to the singer, Wayne Hussey, Whitney, Kat, Ashton, whoever joined us on that. I'm listening to that as a whole, as opposed to these little diving down into the minutia of something.
Yeah, and I think it's a blessing when you can create music with multiple collaborators and different, like what you do with Beauty and Chaos, you get, guest vocalists on different songs. And I think that's fantastic to do because you can look back at it from more of a, I guess, objective viewpoint, because it's, it's not like it's your vocal on every song, and it's not.
Thank
it's,
God.
Yeah. And I've had projects where I've done vocals, and I've had projects where I've had other people do vocals, and I think what you said about when you're creating it in the moment and in a session, then you create it and then you let it go, and then you forget the riff, like you forget how to play it. And I think that's a good thing, unless you're gonna take this project out live. That's different. Then you go back and you rehearse and you relearn it. But literally everything I've ever written, almost everything I've ever written and put out, that's my own music. Like, I don't remember how to play it, but I think for me that's a good thing.
Yeah,
because it's like you can look at it more like it wasn't you that created it. So then you're able to see it for what it is, and you can either look back on it with a smile, or you can look back on it and go, okay, well, now I know what to improve next time. So it helps in that way, I think.
Yeah, this is, it's hard to go. This has been over nearing 6 years of doing this, and something that started, I think, from, sometimes I'll go maybe the wrong spot. Maybe it was out of frustration that turned into going, I just want to prove to myself I can do this, to now, which, thank God I didn't go, this was going to be my solo record. I would have bored myself to fucking tears. It just turned into this thing that I just happened to be kind of pulling in the pieces from people. I get, oh, you're so good at finding the right person. I don't think I think there's some divine intervention, some luck, I just happen to know some really talented people, famous and not, and those two don't often, you don't have to be talented to be famous. And I know a lot of very talented people that are not famous, and that's almost become even more of a joy, is finding these unique people that just jibe with what we do. I never look at it as a song until it's a piece of music or a soundscape or something, until it comes back and somebody's put their stamp on it. Then it comes back and now there's a melody, there's words, and there's a title, and then write it down. Wow, this is actually turned into a song. This is called Afterlife. That's what this thing that Michael and I have worked on for 2 days or 10 days is now something, it's now a complete creation. And that's I think that's a real joy at doing this. And I think one thing that we've learned, the first record, as we were writing it, there was some discipline by going, okay, no keyboards, we're going to make all these sounds by guitars, and no one else is going to do guitar. So there was this little box that we put, but we also, I think, looking back to it, it was almost like instrumental, because there was so much on it. And I'm amazed listening to that first record that these talented singers were able to find the space within these songs to put a vocal melody. And some of them latched on to pieces of guitar, and that guided them. So that was amazing that record worked, and as cohesive as it is. I think as we've gone along, we've sent singers, you'll understand it, less. Like, here it is, it's more open here, and they would send something back, and then Michael and I would embellish around what they did, their melody. So we left more space, as each record has gone on, and it's got more of a collaborative feel. I don't think we've written anything in a room with another singer, but it's certainly, as these records have gone on, it feels a little bit more like you're saying something, I'm going, oh, okay, you do, then here's the space, now we're going to do something. So I think that's one thing that we've improved as far as the collaborative feel.
Yeah, I definitely feel the sense of that in the new record, and in the remix too. It's like, yeah, it does feel like that you were in a room creating it, but you weren't. So that's good, because it's like you're allowing the artists, because when we're writing these instrumentals and stuff, like it's easy to like
fill the spaces.
It's easy to add too much, but then when you realize, okay, well, I want to have a female vocal on this, so maybe it's too busy, so can mute some tracks, or just create more of just a foundation of the song, and leave out some of the nuances and some of the melodies, so that it gives room for the vocalist to envision more, and to create more on it. Yeah.
I mean, now what we're talking about, again, I'm amazed at the first record that it came out the way it did, because I didn't really leave those spaces. It was like there was this excitement, like, F the world, I'm going to show everyone and myself that I can do this. Oh, here's a counterpart. And I think for the most part, everyone we sent the music to, we sent a 2-track mix of it. So they didn't even have the ability to go, oh, I'm going to pull down this counter guitar line, or I'm going to strip it down to the main guitar and that. And I guess that's just a tribute to the talent of the singers, that they were able to hear that and work around it, because I don't recall us doing a whole lot of overdubs after the singers did their parts on that record, which is kind of amazing. Now, like I said, there is that, let the singers do it, then we found the counterparts or did the holes around that. So still looking, as we're starting on whatever's going to come next. I keep telling Rosa, I'm going to find that box that I'm going to put around us. And it's like, what do you mean? That's going, there's going to be something. I'm going to put some walls that we have to stay within. And I keep threatening myself, going, we're going to treat this like a 24-track tape machine. Like, going to bring up the session, 24 tracks, and we're going to make it work with that. If we have to put something on the track, it's got a shaker and a lead guitar and a outro vocal, we're going to treat it just like that. I keep threatening to do that. But
that's actually a great practice to do things like that. When you create limitations, even though like you're creating them, it can make the song become more creative than you ever thought, because when you realize, okay, I need to make a decision here. I only have this amount of tracks.
Yeah.
So it does actually help your creativity a lot, because then like, oh, I can't add as much as I want anywhere I want. So that's actually really fun to do when I do that sometimes too. When I'm writing a song, I'll be like, okay, well, in this song, I'm gonna only use these instruments or have no guitars in this song, or just I'll just come up with random things from whatever I'm feeling sometimes, and then I'm surprised like at how it's like I really like the song even though it's like super simple and not what I normally would do, but it's so different and weird that I actually those kind of songs I end up preferring more because it's so outside the norm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was a challenge.
I think that spurred me. I was late night mindlessly looking at some YouTube stuff, and I watched Tony Visconti talking about Heroes, and he had the 16 tracks, and he had an assistant engineer, and they were bringing things up, and then like the Fripp parts are on like 3 tracks but got blended. He goes, then we got down to the end, we only had 1 track to do background vocals, and like this idea of going, wow, we had to work within this limitation, and it's within that they have one of the greatest songs ever written. And yeah, but as you said about like going, I know you and I have the pedal connection. We love these little sonic boxes, and I think my wife will go, what do you need another one for? And it's just like, and I look at those things. I mean, I'm not a virtuoso guitar player and never have, never will be, never cared to be. But I find these things and going, if I plug into something and I start playing, it sends me like through me or something. Maybe it's divine, maybe it's something, it makes me do something that this box didn't make me do. And if that leads to a song, that's fantastic. Or if, the last 2 records, I've tried to get into some alternate tunings going. I think as a guitar player, you get stuck in what you do, like your progression. I'm going to go to the C minor right after that. It's like, oh, we've done that. The idea of changing the tuning to where now when you go to that, it's something different. And I did that with capos, and Rosan's got a great knowledge. You're like, oh, you're doing a diminished 7th with an 11th on top. It's like in my head, I'm going, what the fuck he's talking about? But he's like, no, that's great. Let's now. And so there's all these little things, whether tuning, effects boxes, a certain instrument, a sound just leads you to something. And, I kind of equate it to like a painter suddenly maybe mixing some colors or finding like, here's a new brush that when I paint with this, it does something different. And I think it's maybe real creativity where you have to work for it, or you chase something that comes out. And I don't know if there's ever really been maybe one thing on the first record that we just stopped. Like, this isn't going anywhere. I think everything else, for good or bad, has been something we've finished. It's never been an idea, because I've had some people go, oh, is there anything left in the can that you're going to put out? Or on those Halo things, there had to be some other things that you didn't use. And it's like, no, we go in, we both have lives, so when we put the time in, we go in there with the express purpose of trying to come out with something. And, we do chase it, that's for sure.
Yeah, I always found it interesting how, maybe it was back in the days where, artists were like in the heyday of record labels and big budgets, it's like, but even then it's like there's artists that they would write maybe 40 songs for a record and then use the best 10, and then maybe those 30 never were just shelved and maybe they were really great songs. But I always feel the same way. As like when I go in to write a song, like I want to use that song. And yeah, maybe there's been a few here and there where like maybe you lose the vibe and don't use it ever, but it's rare that happens. And I like that what you said about pedals. I find this, or I share a similar experience with that. When you just make the slightest change to a sound, whether it's a different tuning or you try a new pedal or a new setting, or you just do something slightly different, it can totally change the direction of the melody you're writing or the riff or the beat or whatever. And I think all those little things add up to your journey in music. And I think it's really important to not stick with the same tools all the time, because just the slightest adjustment to one tool can lead you in a completely different direction, and it can completely just help you evolve as an artist. So I completely agree with you. And yeah, pedals are, you can get lost in the rabbit hole of pedals, and you can waste a lot of time like fucking noodling and doing whatever. But I think there's value in that, and adding to your arsenal and your tool set.
Yeah, if something's not inspiring, I'll give it to somebody, or I'll sell it and I'll try something else. And I don't often find myself with the manuals or anything. I'll sit there or Rosan will reach over and it's like, when I go, get the fucking hands off my pedal, but he'll just turn something like randomly and it's like, oh, we're on to something. And it just if it leads to something, that's fantastic. But at the end of the day, it is about whatever this piece of music, and what then finding or having the right person come into our sphere that takes that to something. And been really fortunate that I've never, and I kind of, knock on wood, dread the day that somebody sends something back, and I go like, wow, it's just not good, because I really value people's time in their talent at what they put into it. And thank God no one's ever just schlock through something like, I got to do this song for Michael, get there and sit and shit lyrics and just that. It's always, you can tell when someone puts their heart and soul into it. And that's what's made us 4 studio albums in, and really starting the first sketches of what will be number 5, is that hearing that what these sounds we make pulls something, has a lyricist, vocalist open their soul and put it out. And I'm really thankful that nothing has come back that I had to tell someone, hey man, sorry, I don't. Yeah, that I think what I'm saying. Yeah. I dread that, and I thank God that has never really happened. That it's come back and it's been like, man, thank you. That's great. You've made something. We've made something.
You see the talent and the greatness and the people that you want to collaborate with. Like, I don't think, if you're gonna write an album, it's like you want to work with people that you feel like deep in your heart will complement those songs. So I think it'd be shocking to realize like one of these artists, maybe they didn't turn in something like amazing. You know what I mean? So yeah, I see what you're saying though.
I appreciate that. And I'm really happy that once that first record came out and started getting whatever the acclaim was, and I know it was because of the names on the record, it started getting the goth supergroup, and, they've combined, The Cure and Ice-T on a record, and it's just like, yeah, of course there's this clickbait moment, but I knew that it couldn't be based on that. Like, if we would have went into that second record going, great, who the fuck are we going to get now? If it was really just built around names. So I'm really thankful that had the foresight or the, I guess in a way, courage to go, it's not about who's on it. Now, we did that kind of opened the door, made us want to do a second record, and then kind of really experiment, and getting on that second record, having Siebel and Curse and finding and meeting Kat and watching like her develop into like, a rock star, seeing what that band's doing now, and pulling these elements and putting them, finding those people, and that's like a joy. And usually once someone's in the family, it's like, hey, did you, I'd like you to introduce you, like Kat introduced us to Whitney, and that led into a beautiful song with Whitney. And, she sang, to me, those 2 cover songs that are on there, her backing vocals, I was so glad Michael said, we need to get more vocals on this. And he's like, let's get Whitney. And it's like, she made those choruses on Open Your Eyes and Children of the Revolution, have this anthem quality.
Yeah.
And she just came in there and part. I mean, crazy talented. And you have to hear the record she did with Tom.
Oh
really
yeah,
good.
she was telling me about that. She's actually on this record. This is my new solo record.
Oh.
She did two songs on this. That's for you, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, she's incredible. She's so good.
They played me. She paid me. Well, I have the record, but I've listened to part of it. And there's one that Roseanne plays pedal steel on. That's haunting. It's so good. But yeah, so that it just kind of changed into that. Mark Thwaite was the one who introduced me to Wayne Hussey and Ashton Knight, and they both become two of my best friends. And I think Ashton is 5 originals in, and Wayne is 4. And absolutely love the acoustic version on Signs in the Heavens of Made of Rain, and we're going to be shooting a video of that. And
hell yeah.
We brought in Whitney. He's like, he kind of had this idea of it having a duet, and he's like, what about Whitney? And she came in and did that, and it took on this different feel, having that on there. So there is that thing of people bringing other people, and I trust people that have been that are part of our family impeccably. And I know you wouldn't go, hey, listen to this guy, listen to this girl. I know it's going to be of somebody that doesn't matter about fame, but that has a vision and that will bring something different to it. So I think that's what has kept this thing getting bigger and wider. I wanted
to go back to something you said earlier, and with the whole fame thing, and because it's like, I know you and I, we've worked with a lot of people in music, and what you said about how there's a lot of very, very, very talented musicians, but most of them aren't famous, or they just haven't gotten the attention they deserve, in my opinion. So what do you think it takes in this day and age to really, I wouldn't say like make it, because who knows what, that's subjective, but it's like, why do you think it is that there's so many great musicians that like really deserve, to at least make a living in music? What do you think it is that causes that? Because it's like, I've seen, and I know you know people like this, that they're so freaking good. They're so good. They're so talented. They're so knowledgeable. They're so professional, but yet they just can't get to that next level, And I know since you've worked with so many musicians, like you work, you're the president of Schecter, like you see all the full spectrum of the industry and the business, and you see, there's people that are very famous, but they're not that good. We're not going to name names, but everyone can think of those people, like they're so huge and so famous, but they're not that great at what they do. And so there's this X factor there. There's like a lot of it's chance, stars aligning, stuff like that.
Signing a deal with the devil.
Signing a deal with the devil. But what do you think that is?
Man, I wish I could say. I think there's so much technology now that I think the common listener can't see through what's talent and what's hype or what's feigned. I ask anyone to go back and search like Freddie Mercury isolated vocals and listen to that guy sing, and try to find something of one of your favorite pop stars now, and you'll never find something without auto-tune and whatever. I just think there's so much music. There's just it's really almost, and I don't want to sound negative, impossible to come out of the noise, maybe without knowing somebody. Nepotism. I don't know. There's just, how many songs do you think are uploaded to Spotify today? I think people my age, I don't want to play the game, but somebody, I guess knowing Whitney, I see that her struggles with, like, she's talented and is young enough to kind of still try to play the Instagram, TikTok, and supposed to do reels and this and that. And it's just like, I don't know what it takes. I don't know what makes somebody somehow come out of this 1,000,000 to 1 chance and do it. I know when I was buying records as kids, there wasn't that much. And I think you valued what you got. You know, I know when I worked either a paper route or cutting grass and I decided, had $6 in my hand and I was going to pick a record, I listened to that record to where I liked the B-side, I liked the deep cuts, and I don't know if people do that anymore. I don't think they have the attention span. I know that's not answering your question. I don't know when someone is super talented, writes from the heart, and I'm sure there are hundreds of indie bands that bust their ass and indie artists playing shithole clubs and sit there and people don't, want to be on the guest list, don't want to buy their $5 CD, I thank God that I don't have to, I'm not selling CDs or music in general to feed my family, because it doesn't anymore. I mean, it's rare that someone wants this.
Right.
You still value this. To me, this is real music, and even more so when you make a vinyl. To me, it makes it feel complete. And I don't know if it's a blast, holding on to my childhood, but I feel like it makes it that I did this and I've written this book and that's the final chapter, close it, and there's that book. I can put that book there. It's not in this ether world. And I don't know. I think it's usually people that come out, know somebody, there's money behind it, it's paid. I know there are people that sit there and feel like they have to pay for Spotify listens and shit that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. And those are the people, and I think I first started witnessing it when, shocking to believe, my wife just reminded me that 2025, which I guess we're in, summer, I'll be out here for 40 years in California. And in that time, we moved out here. We had changed our name to Human Drama, and the band we finally found our footing as kind of dark wavy. But during that, we stuck with that. But during that time, we moved out here and it was hair band time.
Mm-hmm.
Guns, Motley Crue, those were the bands that were getting signed. And then the label signed the next reiteration. Everybody had to get their Guns N' Roses. Well, they're signed, but we're going to get Cinderella, or we're going to get LA Guns. So you got the second tier and then the third tier. And then as soon as Nirvana hit, those same guys that never got latched on to that had the big, hair and the makeup and the everything, suddenly were grunge. They changed to a flannel T-shirt, or they did the cornrows in their hair, and it's like, wow, you're the Red Hot Chili Peppers now. There's that thing of really chasing it, and I think that's kind of sad. For every one person that chases something that they think they're being told, or by a manager or somebody, this is what you need to do, there's so many that just fall flat. Then they chase the next thing. Then they chase the next thing. And I don't think they ever find it,
Agreed. And I think what you said before, I'm just kind of going through my head with this, but I think that since, I don't know, I still really, really value music so much, like physical copies of stuff, like CDs, tapes, vinyls, when artists still do that. And I do enjoy listening to, music streaming because it's so convenient. But I think it's because there's just, like you said, there's so goddamn much of it now. Like everyone has a band, anyone can put out, anyone could upload to Spotify. So I think it's, when people think, oh, it's just another single, just another album, it's like, it does feel like in general that music is valued less, unfortunately, across the board.
I think has no value. I think if you sat there and you told somebody, hey, this is $7, and I got Spotify, I'll check it out on that. And you actually, sometimes I laugh and leave my body and go, I want to take their head and bang it right here and go, do you realize this is about 1,000 hours of work? conservatively, probably.
Yeah,
to,
totally.
to do that. Yet you balk that to $7, but if you stand there at Starbucks and you get a Frappuccino, blah, 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 and they spin around the thing and go 10, 15, 20%, oh, well, somebody's behind me. I guess I need to hit 20. Suddenly
exactly.
Now you paid
and
$9 for a coffee drink that you drink half of it, and yet I don't know. I guess I always say, if you like a band or an artist, buy their music, go to the show. Just because you know them, you don't need to be on the guest list unless you really are broke. Then maybe you shouldn't be going out. But pay the $5 to $10. Buy their shirt or buy their music. They may need that to put gas in the tank to go to the next city. Or if you want to hear another record by the band or that artist, support it. I mean, again, thank God I don't need it, and I will continue to press vinyl and CDs till we sell one. You know?
Because you're doing it for you, and that's what matters the most.
I'm a rare case, I guess, because I'm doing it because I have a day job. There are people that, I did that when, in our 20s and 30s. We had no other. It was make it or bust. And I don't know if that attitude, and I guess I'm speaking general because there's probably somebody listening go, this guy's crazy. We've been busting our ass. Our van broke down between Austin and Houston last night. I get that. I've been there. But the idea of just going, wow, I can bring up garage band, pop drums, 120, put a bass line to it. Rarely are you going to find a gem in that,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, totally. It's just I don't know. It just feels like we're at this transition period or this fork in the road with music, and it's like it seems like there's always every decade there's someone that says that, but it's like it was CDs. CDs was a big deal, then it was Napster, downloads, now it's streaming, and now it's going to be AI is the next thing. Yeah, so it's like there's always that generational thing.
I thought CDs exposed some bands where what you were talking about back in when people would do 15 songs to get 8 that went on an album. Usually there was a reason those other songs didn't get finished. Maybe they revived, let's take the bridge from this song, and that was always good. We need a chorus. Maybe that lived again. But once CDs came out and labels started going, you could fit 78 minutes on here. We want that. We don't want 40 minutes like on a vinyl. I think that started this little tumble of music to where that. But the AI things is bullshit. If we don't, I made the joke about Terminator, but if we don't go, you won't have another Lennon and McCartney or a Bowie or a Prince if you think that a computer or some AI bot is going to have heart. Of course, you can make it sound 95% like Prince. Ain't going to be Prince. I'm sorry. I don't care what you feed in your quantum computer. And if we start letting the next generation, we already got them where they don't, look at a band, like I'll take the ones I grew up with, but then take like Oasis or U2 or things like that have stayed a band. If you're just going to worship anything that's got a single name, Billie Eilish, Beyonce, blah, 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 that ain't even going to matter anymore. It's going to end up being some emoji, Yeah. Yeah. And that's really sad. It just seems that at some point you go, okay, that's great. We can make a computer do that, but maybe we shouldn't. It goes back to the scene in Jurassic Park with like, just because you can, you didn't stop to think about if you should.
Yeah.
And I think musically we are right there, going, no, we should not do that. I know they did that Beatles thing and it was a little bit of AI to have John Lennon part of that, but that was still a song that was written. And they did just some tricks to take the demo and that's not AI. AI is where it's going to be, Hal, write me a song like 1999, or When Doves Cry, or Ziggy Stardust, and it spits out some garbage with zero heart, zero soul, and then it gets accepted. And then once it starts doing it, it's like, wow, who's even going to get the royalties of this? We don't need to do any of that. We can put a stage show together with, with bullshit on stage, and it doesn't even matter. It's like, really, can the artist be any less important? Yeah, if we keep going down that path.
And it was already like extremely difficult as it was, and just in the traditional formula of the music industry was difficult enough, and now having these new digital products in competition, like it was with the downloads, the streaming, and now the AI, it's like.
And I think people got to the point where they want to go to a show and know there's always that, oh, this band's using tracks, this band's using tracks. It's like, I think part of that falls back on the audience, is that they want that to be as much like the record as possible, because most people are sitting there holding up a freaking iPhone at a show, and it's like, I've been on shows and going, it looks like a sea of cameras pointing at you, and it's like, there's not that interaction. They're like this, and my head wanders going, what are you going to do with that? Do you really go back and watch it, or do you want to be the first person to upload it to get some followers? And then I think bands started going, I mean, fuck, I seen Aerosmith back in the day, and they were sloppy as fuck, and I thought they were some of the greatest shows ever, that it was just, raunchy. And then bands started going, we can't sound like that. We need to, people are filming everything. There's nothing just left to chance. You have a bad show, it's on YouTube or wherever they're going to upload it. So now start putting stuff. Bands get lazy. It's like, wow, we don't need to sing the harmonies. I don't need to add that extra stuff in there. I could see a band going on stage and, hey, we can't bring an orchestra, but this song has this big string section. Okay, but I think some onus does fall on the need to post everything, and bands going, sure, don't want to sound awful because it will affect the next show that we go to. So
yeah, I think kind of what happened with how there was like a resurgence in vinyl. Like I think what's going to happen is, at least from my prediction, is like the AI stuff's going to get really crazy. And then there's going to be like a strong desire for authenticity again. Like, okay,
I hope.
Live shows, real records, real recording sessions, real players. I think that I hope that will happen. But yeah, it's going to get crazy for a while with AI, but we just got to be ready for it, and just got to stick to our guns. You know what I mean? Just like what you're doing with your band, with your music, just keep creating what you love, keep doing it the way you want to do it. And the people that value that will follow you and will support you, and that's all you can do. But like you said, you can't chase the trends, because you're probably not gonna make it that way anyway. And then when you look back, you're gonna feel shitty because you weren't following your true purpose.
And that's really why I think you're supposed to be in music. I mean, granted, I picked up guitar because I quickly at 14 or 15 realized girls like guys in bands more than a guy in a football uniform. So there's that adolescence, thing like that. But then it became actually important. It became, I don't know, I didn't ever leave myself another option. Well, if I don't do this, I can always do this. And I feel blessed that I stumbled into this into this situation at Schecter, because, God, I don't know what I would be doing. I'd probably have a studio, making very little money, maybe not feeding my family. So that fell into my lap. Again, I seem to go through my life blessed to be at the right place, or to have something happen. And it kept me in the sphere of this. I would have never met Robin Zander and those people, so I feel fortunate. As a kid, listening to Live at Budokan, which I think I just read yesterday, was 40 years old or something, or maybe 40 or 45, going, I'd sat in my couch like this with Robin here with the lyrics to a song going, hey, what do you think about this line? Do you like that version? Play the other one or that? And part of me's like going, okay, I'm a contemporary. I'm part of this song. And the other part of me's like this kid going, what the fuck? Where'd this go? So I certainly feel blessed, and, it's still fun. I think sometimes Michael and I, at the end of the night, we're a bottle in. It's like, we're going to do another record, huh? And I'm going, do you want to? He goes, yeah. You still enjoying it? I'm like, absolutely, man. We have a blast doing this, and we're still really proud of what we. I'm at that point now, like going, who am I going to get to sing? What's next? Who are we going to go back to? But that seems to figure itself out.
Yeah, you guys have a great dynamic. You and Michael, like making your records, and yeah, it feels like you can feel it in the songs. It's like you guys just have a thing, and it's cool to see that you continued to work together for so long.
I asked him, I go, are you ever sorry you turned around that day and went, you should do your own record? I'm going, because honestly, I don't think if he would have said that, it would have happened. So things do. There's always that little thing that leads you on a path, or there's this light blinking, and it's having the faith or the courage to follow it, or to at least give it a try, and we did, and that led to him. The second track we did was 20th Century Boy, and Al came over to the studio, did it. Him and Michael hit it off. They were outside, talking Timothy Leary and all this like cosmic shit. And next thing you know, Michael's working, I think he's now doing co-production credit. And so I think Beauty and Chaos has been a two-way street. We've certainly been open, fans of the Mission, fans of the Awakening and stuff have certainly embraced Beauty and Chaos. And it's also opened some artists like, Scott Whitney with some people that wouldn't have known her, and vice versa. The Holy Wars crowd is starting, I see following Beauty and Chaos because of having Cat, and, it's been this real symbiotic thing that I think has helped both parts. Because I think it's real, that's all I can think. Is it any better or worse? I don't know. I love it. But I think it's real, and I don't know if anybody would put anything on we do. I know it sounds good because Roseanne wouldn't let it not sound good. And I do know every singer that's opened their mouth on the record has put their heart and soul into it, and pen to paper, and then voice into one of these things. And never like, well, what are we going to make money-wise? What are we? I think they're all well enough. They know this business well enough to know that this isn't about money. I think when you do something that's not necessarily for money, I think there's an extra level of realism.
I want to hear your thoughts on, you touched on this throughout the conversation today, but for artists, musicians, or people in the creative arts, or just maybe for individuals in general who are maybe struggling to find their way, whether it's with music or whatever career. And you say, like, we're blessed to be, doing music and to still be on this path. But there are times in our lives where things are dark and we're unsure of what direction to take and unsure of what the future may hold. But in those times, maybe for people now that are going through those dark times, like, what would you suggest a way to stay positive and move forward? Because I know some people are of faith. I know you're a man of faith.
Yeah.
And for me, I've gone through these times, and I've always just tried to, just sit in them and know that, I know what my purpose is. So I'm going to sit in these dark times and do the best I can to push through them. But for you, like, what would you suggest to someone who is in a dark time?
I think there is that faith that there is an answer. I think we are put here for a purpose, and it may take a little bit to find it. And I think it's going back. If you're talking about someone being a musician and going, it's kind of remembering why you picked this up in the first place. And if you pick that up just because your friends did it and you can get girls, then I think it's easy to put it down and go and move on to something up. But if you picked it up because you wanted to be, it's like you always, those guys or girls that had their notebook and were writing lyrics, or it's like examining what Bowie's words, or things like that, then I think it is a deeper thing. And I always go back to which was, I think, the most important song in Beauty and Chaos, which was Storm. Because I'll just jump real quick. We did Drifting with Xander, and then, which was a song I had with my previous band that I'd written, and we reworked it a little bit, and then we did a cover. So the first two things after Roseanne uttered those famous, you should make your own record, were fairly easy, just because they were somewhat working, and we had Robin Zander and Al Jorgensen. It's like, okay, this is easy. The next song was something I totally wrote from scratch, and just had met Ashton, sent that to him, and then he sent back, I remember still like it just happened yesterday, headphones on, walked out my back door, and he said, hey man, I got a really rough idea, but listen to it. And it was Storm, and he did the chorus, and the words, there is always a light. Just, it's like that, to me, that is still the most important phrase in Beauty and Chaos, and I think it kind of encompasses it. And I guess to your question, I think there is a light. Sometimes you do need to go through the dark times, but that light may be tiny, but if you stick in it, it'll start getting brighter and you'll walk out of it. And I think real artists, like from the heart and soul, not pretend, I think the dark times make the best music. Listen to the new Cure record. There's not a hit single on that. It's depressing to listen to in a way, and being that, I just, not equating my dog to Robert's brother and his mother, but it was a big loss to me. But listening to that record where it's about loss, and then as I'm getting older in age and hearing people that aren't much older than me passing, it starts bringing this mortality into it and questioning, like, have I done enough with my life? Have I do think that comes from the heart. So that is a dark place, and I do think that makes, it's like, don't stop. That when it's dark, fill up that notebook, write it, good, bad, indifferent, pick up the guitar, always do something. To me, it feels like a channeling. Like if you can let that go from heart to head to hand, or heart to head to mouth, I think that's something, if it's meant to, if you are truly an artist and meant to be here, that is your true calling to say something, it'll come out. And songs touch people, songs. I know it's songs that, like the whole Judas Priest, it made somebody kill themselves. Bullshit, I think, but I think there's far more songs I know that save people than hurt people.
Absolutely.
And if what you are going through, if you can put that out and complete it, I think there is this exorcism that happens, and I think that's what it means to be an artist, not just a pretend artist or a TikTok or an Instagram reel. Your reels need to be this way. The story, like that is somebody that's sitting in a coffee shop saying something, And if there is something to say, fucking say it. And I think it'll get you through it, and it'll probably get somebody else through it.
Well, Michael, it's been great. It's been great to catch up. Thank you for sharing that. And,
thank you, man.
amazing job on the new record. Sounds killer. I love the remixes. A great job on the video, and I'm glad that I'm glad you're still writing music and doing your thing, and still just as passionate about it.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I mean, and you're thanking me on this remix record, but you were part of it. I know I'm gonna miss somebody, but Julian, Mark Thwaite, Kevin Kipnis, Roman from Professional Murder Music, those Kid Electro, they've done remixes on every record, and the guys that I haven't mentioned. I mean, they made this. I asked you and you spent your time. It wasn't so that is our record. And hopefully it gets played. Hopefully it gets people more work. At the end of the day, I hope they had a really good time doing it and put it on and go, okay, that was cool. That was fun. I spent my time wisely and I gave that a shot, and because these things, when they're remixed, they do become rewritten, reimagined.
Yes.
And so yeah, it's a salute to all of us. I did very little on this.
Well, you can really feel the hours of blood, sweat, and tears put into the creation of it. You can feel the love in it, and there's a lot of substance and weight to it. And it's outstanding. So where can everyone check that out?
On our website, beautyandchaosmusic.com. The video is if you go to the video tab, I think Tish and I counted, I think we've done 26 or 27 videos,
wow,
which is absolutely insane. And we're editing one now, and we will be shooting the almost acoustic version of Made of Rain in March with Ashton and Whitney. And Roseanne and I are writing new stuff. So God willing, there'll be a Beauty and Chaos EP album, something by the end of 2025.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think it's the most important thing. Just keep moving, keep creating. Like, just don't be stagnant. That's like the worst thing you can do, right? Is like when you're in those dark times, you're just frozen and paralyzed, and then you can really sink in. But as long as you keep moving and keep doing something, I mean, that's what you're doing. And I think it's great to keep creating, man.
Mr. Knight said, there is always a light.
Absolutely. All right, Michael. Thank you so much.
Friend.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Care.